Welcome back to another plaster removal video. Today we're working on the first bedroom on the second floor. To get the room ready for plaster removal, we started by removing the trim that was on top of the heater so that we can tuck our tarp in above the heater and protect it from the falling plaster. These heaters will eventually go, but for now they're still here and I like to keep as much dust out of them as possible while I'm working. I also save a piece of every single wallpaper in the house for a little collection that I'll turn into artwork later on. So I took some time to pull off a couple of sections of this pretty paper before we went to town on the walls and just ruined the rest of it. These little sections in between the windows are easily the hardest part in any room when removing the plaster. When I first started removing plaster, I assumed these kind of sections would be easy because there's so little plaster to remove. However, it is really packed in there, and because of the tight space, it's hard to get a lot of leverage when scraping the plaster off, so these sections tend to take the longest. Luckily, Dad and Sophie were here to help me on this day, and we were able to make much quicker work of it than I do when I'm by myself. While Dad and I finished up the window sections, Sophie moved on to the first little piece of wall. And somehow, she managed to finish that little bit of wall before Dad and I were even able to get the rest of the plaster from around the windows. So she came back over to help. She is a real trooper when she comes to help me. I've gotten some questions recently about how I plan to move the plaster from the second floor down to the dumpster. If you go back a little bit on my page, you'll see a video where Dad built me a trash chute that goes out the second floor bathroom window and leads directly to the dumpster. So all I had to do on this day was carry the bins over to the second floor bathroom and dump them down the chute. We got into a really good rhythm here where Dad and Sophie were scraping the plaster off the wall, and I was taking the bins of plaster over to the chute. Scraping the plaster is the fun part of this job, dumping it is the not so fun part, so when I have helpers here, I am always the first to volunteer to dump the plaster in an effort to make this more fun for them and encourage them to come help me again. At this point in the video, we've been at this for a couple of hours, and we're just now getting to the halfway point because of that window section. I mean, we're easily 3/4 of the way through this video, and we still have 2 walls to do. Just to give you some additional perspective on how long those little tiny window sections take. At this point, Sophie was pretty spent, so Dad took her home, and I worked on the top of this last wall. I found that working from the top of the wall down works best for me. I don't love working on the ladder, so I get that part out of the way first, and then I can come back through just standing on the ground and finish up the lower part of the wall. I didn't have much room for after photos in this video, but I will post the before and afters on Instagram.